and Social Protection. Thank you so very much indeed for joining us. Timothy, how exposed is the Kenyan society when it comes to the coronavirus pandemic, especially for the vulnerable and the elderly people?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think the coronavirus pandemic affects more the vulnerable groups in a population. Vulnerable in the sense that in terms of their age, the sickly, the malnourished, and the orphaned children who normally don't get proper medical attention. We also have a category which is mostly affected, the population living with severe disability, and even with those with mild disability who have no livelihood to depend on. These are the populations who are affected. But when you scale down, you find that the pandemic has affected new vulnerable populations, the casual laborers, the mamambogas, the border borders, tea laborers, coffee, those working in Kisii, soapstones, in the coast tourist industries. We have the Mama Samaki, Mama Vibanda. These are groups and the populations who are very vulnerable. And those who are living in informal settlements, in our urban centers. If you take the 47 counties, we have informal settlements which are products of industrialization. So these populations are affected. So these are the kind of vulnerabilities that the government has identified, and you can see His Excellency the President is very religious on this kind of category because they are most affected, and particularly the new vulnerable groups in informal settlements. Mm-hmm. And more so those who are in the lockdown counties. Take Nairobi, those who have been working in industrial areas, those in informal settlements with the lockdown, they have nowhere to go. These are Kenyans who are on casual basis. At the end of the day, they are paid their dues. They buy the little unga. The next day, they start a new life. And this is familiar to all urban centers in the country.
How big is the target audience, or how many people are being targeted under the social safety nets?
Traditionally, we have now the normal cash transfer program, the Inua Jamii, which targets 1.2 million beneficiaries domiciled in the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, and 100,000 beneficiaries who are domiciled in ASAL, domiciled in the Ministry of Devolution. So in total, that is the number we have officially.
So as we stand, you're talking about
1.2
million people.
1.2 million.
And how many deserving cases are there?
The 1.2 are deserving, but we have a number of beneficiaries who needs to be targeted, mm-hmm. over 250, particularly the over 70. We have orphaned children, we have members of disability close to 900, mm-hmm. according to the recently released census, mm-hmm. about 900 who deserve to be brought on social protection program, mm-hmm. via cash transfer. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, when you interact with the Kenya, the National Housing Survey, it will tell you that about 45% of Kenyans, they live below the poverty line, in the sense that, their earning is below 200 shillings, on a daily basis. And these groups, can be classified as vulnerable, economically speaking. How or what measures have we put in place to ensure that even these kind of groups, they tap into the social safety nets rolled out by the government?
Yeah, I said before, we have the normal cash transfer program, which is targeting the traditional beneficiaries domiciled in the payroll cash transfer, the 1.2 million Kenyans. The new vulnerabilities who have come on board as a result of the COVID-19 include the informal those in the informal settlement. We have those in the tourism industry. We have those in coffee, tea, selling fish, those small scale business, ladies and mamas, border groups. You get those living in informal settlements. In Nairobi, we have several informal settlements. Mombasa, there are so many. If you go to Kwale, Kilifi, you go to the 47 counties, in every county headquarter, you will get informal settlements. And who lives here? These are laborers, casuals, house helps. We have borders. You get, these are the population you are mentioning here. And why His Excellency the President released 10 billion Kenya shillings was to target specifically this group, and the Kenyans should get this right, to target this specific group. Already the government has started targeting those within the lockdown of Nairobi, Mombasa, Kilifi and Kwale, where they have been given 2,000 shillings every week. In all informal settings, every week, because these are people who are getting money every day at the end of the day to support their family. So this money is targeting the informal, the vulnerable groups, regardless of your age. The normal cash transfer targets those over 80, severe disability, and poor children. But the 10B, according to the direction of His Excellency the President, is he doesn't want to see any Kenyan die. So it's targeting the new vulnerable groups wherever they are in the country. And the Minister of Labor and Social Protection, in conjunction with the Minister of Interior, Minister of Health, and the county government, we have started rolling out payment to these categories. And remember, this is not enough. His Excellency the President started the other week, Kazi kwa Mtaa. These Kazi kwa Mtaa programs are meant to inject money into the hands of the vulnerable groups.
Before coronavirus, you had a target audience of about 1.2 million people who qualified for the social safety nets. With coronavirus, it has brought more problems. A lot of people cannot feed themselves. A lot of people cannot afford to take themselves to the hospital. So many people have lost their jobs. And according to various state estimates, about 5 million people, have been exposed by this coronavirus. And so you're talking about 5 million more Kenyans, with more deserving cases. How is this likely to strain, number one, your budget, and number two, your resources?
But you see, my brother, it's not. We want to thank the government on this, particularly His Excellency the President, because he's very keen on this program. He started it, it's rolling so well, we've done reforms in it, and it is serving Kenyans efficiently. We also want to thank development partners because they have come in handy. We have UNICEF,
World Bank.
We have World Bank, who are really supporting us. We have World Food Program, who are going to pump in 1 billion Kenya shillings to support about 60,000 vulnerable groups in Nairobi as a pilot. After Nairobi, they will go to other cities, Mombasa, Kisumu, Kakamega, Nakuru, throughout the country. We have Kenya Commercial Bank, who are coming on board with 3.5 billion Kenya shillings. And this is also going to target this population, the 5 million Kenya populations who are vulnerable, who are affected by the coronavirus. So we have World Food Program, who are also coming on board to target a huge group of vulnerabilities. So we have partners, development partners who are coming on board to come and support the deficit.
Even before coronavirus came about, I mean, the government was struggling on clearing some of the monies, that's supposed to go to, the cash trust fund program. And sometimes this year you said that there was a deficit of about 4 billion shillings. With now more people in need and more resources and more resource constraints in place, how does this make the situation, number one, easy or hard for you as the person in charge of ensuring the social protection services are well rolled out?
What we have done at the ministry level is the 4.7 billion we've discussed with Parliament, we've discussed with the CS Treasury, who was the Minister for Labour and Social Protection, and he happens to have a very good institutional memory of cash transfer, and he has understood this. And we have a deficit, yes, but you should ask yourself, this deficit is affecting what number of populations of beneficiaries in the payroll? There are about 138, right? What we have done with the 10B, when targeting is being done in a county, we lift out that population for that particular county who don't have a budget, so that they benefit from the 10B. And we are also going to use this information, this data, as a government for programming, not just the population affected by the deficit of 4.7 billion, but moving post-corona, we are more keen on what lessons are we learning. You see, what texts can we carry forward so as to support Kenyan people in terms of social protection.
When you look at the United Nations, they tell you that at this point we have about 71 countries in the world that have rolled out social safety nets, for their citizens, and 54 of these came after coronavirus, started affecting the world. Fortunately, Kenya, had done this way before even corona came on board, and Kenya, is being touted as one of the models of how to roll out, social safety nets, to the public. But still, when you look at the way it has been rolled out here, there has been some few hiccups here and there. And one of the questions that has been raised is, what is the matrix being used, to pinpoint the people who deserve to be in these safety nets? And number two, who is the custodian of this data?
I think Kenyan model of social protection is now the best. We have countries even from the developed world who are now coming to, they have overbooked. We are unable to diarize some of them. Majority of African countries are coming to benchmark on the social protection in Kenya. You see, it's working. I tell you the reforms in the last 1 year and a half, the reforms that has gone into this are great. You see, initially, beneficiaries used to be told to go wait for their money in marketplaces, and vehicles will take money from the bank and go pay them. Ask yourself, what about those who are sick? What about those who didn't get information about payment? You see, there were issues. What about those who would walk kilometers to go to that market center just to go get paid? There were issues. But I can tell you for a fact, these issues are history. We have migrated all these beneficiaries, majority of them, into banks. And each beneficiary has a bank account. So the moment Treasury releases money to the ministry, the money does not stay in the account of the ministry. It is released to 4 banks: Cooperative Bank, Post Bank, KCB, and Equity. And Equity have instructions to release this money directly to the beneficiary's account or to caregivers. Remember, we have some caregivers who are very old, 90 years, some 100, 85, and sickly. They cannot make it, they cannot read, some are blind. So we have caregivers.
And the question still stands, how was this data collected of these needy cases, and who keeps this data?
The data is domiciled. Through the help of World Food Program, the ministry has developed what we call single registry. All the information of beneficiaries you require, and even those we intended to target in the future, the one I'm mentioning, are domiciled here. We have all the information. Targeting on the ground is done through a multi-agency approach. We have committees where even members of parliament are involved, their representatives are involved, chiefs are involved, to the extent that you cannot play monkey business at that level. There are checks and balances. Once this is confirmed, it is progressed to the headquarters, and we have automated all the information. All the information about vulnerable groups in the country have been automated. At a single minute, we can produce that minute and use it for the benefit of Kenyans. Yeah.
If you go through the press, you still see people in the rural areas, in the urban areas, in slums and other informal settlements saying that we have tried to register for these safety nets for more than 2 years now. We've not been successful. People, you hear cases of people saying that we have waited for these resources, we don't see them. Do you still have challenges, reaching people or enrolling people in these programs?
What there is targeting was done way back in 2013. Right?
So 7 years.
7 years down the line. How many have reached over 70? And how many turn 70 years and above every day, every week? You get? We have that statistics here. So the Minister of Labor and Social Protection, working in Korabo with other department ministries, we have come up with what we call Social Assistance Fund. The fund is already in Parliament. It is meant to widen the base of the revenue for social protection. You see, so that the government does not necessarily depend on exchequer, you see, on GOK money to take care of the vulnerable groups. The fund is going to be independent. It's going to enable the country to attract more funding from donors. It's going to be something very huger. The vision of the ministry and the vision of the government is to make social protection in Kenya a universal program.
But appears, as we sit here, do you agree that there are some deserving cases who are yet to be reached out?
I do, and that's because of budget deficits, which we are addressing through establishment of a fund. You can see we are running faster than, you see. We are aware there are those challenges, but we are again telling you that there is no government in the world which is self-sufficient, which is self-reliant. You see, it has to depend on borrowing, partners, and that's what the country is doing.
People who are above 60 years.
They are above 60 years.
And they're 250,000.
We also have members of the disability community, where the government is targeting 47,000. So far, the normal Inua Jamii is covering that group. But remember, His Excellency the President also rolled out an additional 500 million to be paid to persons with severe disability as arrears. We did pay that as a ministry And there was a balance of 200 million, which I have already briefed His Excellency the President, and he has instructed that this money be spread to all the 290 constituencies, and we have done that. This is very huge. Yep.
So, do you also agree that there are some non-deserving cases that are benefiting from these resources?
If they are after reforms, you should ask me that. You may have asked me that before the reforms. I can tell you after the reforms, it is not possible. Maybe there could be caregivers. You know, caregivers are selected by the beneficiary. Like Hamze is 95, blind, unable to write, unable to know what's going on. So anasema, I want my mjukuu awe anachukulia mimi hiyo pesa. Then in between, mjukuu anaenda anaokota pesa every month, after 2 months, and a pocket.
What reforms have been carried out?
What we have done here is to ensure that we have done case management one-on-one to ensure where we get those kind of complaints, to ensure that the beneficiary confirms, changes the caregiver immediately. When we detect there is fraud, cheating, we change the caregiver immediately.
After you carried out the reforms, what did you discover?
A lot of things. One, we did discover that social protection programs, this is the way to go, because not every country can be able to give employment to everybody. You see, that's one. Second, we were able to address issues, challenges facing beneficiaries, issues of distance, you see. And that's why we engaged the government, engaged the 4 banks. And the banks at the tail end have engaged the agents. Take, for example, you are in Lamu, or you are in Tana River, or you are in Lodwar, Mjini, and the beneficiary is in Kakuma, right? The bank is in Lodwar. They are allowed to engage an agent in Kakuma to handle beneficiaries in Kakuma, right? And that's what we are doing. The first is, it's not free that people are enrolling every day. The government must first confirm that it has budget. The government doesn't want to cause anxiety. You go out there, you start targeting Kenyans, you have not planned, you have no money. So why are you doing that? We like being very honest, we can tell Kenyans the truth. Why create anxiety to Kenyans? It's good to tell them, fine, the government is looking for more budget, for more money. Once this is available, then the government will announce when targeting will start. Just clear like that. It's good to be open, but not create anxiety in the populations.
So it's a process whereby the government announces we're now enrolling people in KBC.
Yeah, and the government would like to inform everybody, Parliament, Senate, county government, all the players, so that they participate in the process.
Are there plans to open the enrolling process anytime soon?
If I take you back to the establishment of the Social Assistance Fund, and we are running with that, and we have requested more budget around that, close to 9B, apart from 4.7 billion. So once we get that budget, we've done our mathematics, we have the number for each constituency in the country, 200 in each constituency, the 290. Then the government will announce that siku fulani, the government will be there, folks, in a baraza, and these are the issues that we're going to be addressing there. That is it.
Very well. As we wind up, is there anything else that Kenyans ought to know about government, social safety net?
Yeah, I think it's good to tell Kenyans about social safety net. It's very important. Were it not for this program, last month, His Excellency the President, released 8.7 billion. That's not small money you take and put in the pocket and walk to the market. And this money is not in the pocket of PS, nor you, my brother. It is in the pocket of poor Kenyans. Uko nje. So what has the government done? It has stimulated the economy by putting the money, 8.7, in the pocket of Kenyans, right? Already, His Excellency announced the release of 500 million additional areas to persons with severe disability. That money again is not in Nairobi. It is in the 47 counties. And it's in the 290 constituencies. Mm-hmm. What have you done? You have addressed the vulnerabilities of Kenyans, right? Again, what's the government doing? The government is targeting over 33,000 extra persons with disability, not severe, because severe we are dealing with it. And that is targeting the 290 constituencies. MPs, we have asked them to please share us with this information. That mama, that mzee, that kijana mwenye ako na challenge kimwili anatakana asaidike. Pesa iko. Sindio? The money is there and it's been used prudently.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a program that Kenyans must take in confidence.
Very well. Thank you.
Programs and the reforms have been conducted in it. And we have no doubt about it.
The future is bright.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
And with the establishment of the Social Assistance Fund, this is going to be one of the biggest programs. All maskini Kenya watakuwa naingia hapo. Mama akifika, mzee akifika 70, anaingia kwa hiyo program automatically. Because it is not going to be dependent on exchequer from National Treasury. We are actually overburdening Waziri wa Treasury. We should go out and assist.
Asante sana for joining us here. Every society is gauged by how it handles its most vulnerable and the elderly. And let's hope that Kenya will be in the future judged fairly through the lenses of how it managed to help those who are in need right now. You have been watching Inside Government. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Thank you. We do it again on Thursday, same time, right here on KBC Channel 1. Have a good time.
Je, ungependa kujua jinsi ninavyojizuia kuambukizwa au kuambukizana